Welcome. Thank you for spending your summer night with us. It looks like we have a summer crowd tonight, or lack thereof. I know a lot of people are worn out from the crowd this weekend, so thank you for coming. You spent the weekend at the festival, and a lot of people are traveling, but we're gonna have a great meeting regardless. With that, can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Thank you, Brenda Miller. Motions and a second. Yvonne seconds it. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved, and we can begin with our candidates tonight. So if you are a candidate running for office, please come forward. We're going to make space for the women first. It looks like we have candidates in the room and candidates on Zoom. All right, Susan's getting the timer set up. All right, John and Susan are getting the clock set up. Actually going to give me a good opportunity to thank John and Susan, our technical wizards, and they are incredible and they keep us to the art. And also we've got Hannah on the Zoom. We appreciate our tech folks so much. And we're going to go ahead and start with candidates. Tonight we're going to do 1 minute for candidates if they've already spoken to the club, and we'll do 2 minutes for candidates who have not spoken to us previously. And we are going to start off. We'll start off as soon as the timer gets up. All right, Dr. Miller.
Hello, everyone. Oh. Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah. All right. Ready? Oh, hello, everyone. I'm a registered nurse with over 40 years of nursing experience. I'm Dr. Brenda Miller. I'm a candidate for Grossmont Healthcare District Board of Directors Zone 3. Why am I running for this position? As nurse leaders, we need to be at the table making decisions. There are over 42 million nurses nationwide. Of the registered nurses, there are 84% that are in this profession. We are the #1 trusted profession. I want to be at this table to promote I want to promote high quality care, health equity, and decrease health disparity. Again, my name is Dr. Brenda Miller, and I don't see the time ticking, but I am Dr. Brenda Miller, and I am a registered nurse, and I am running for the board of directors for Grossmont Healthcare, and I hope I can earn your trust, and you will vote for me.
Thank you so much. Okay. Oh.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate being here finally in person. I haven't been able to make the meetings in person because I have a standing meeting conflict. I'm president of the San Diego County School Boards Association, and this is our regular meeting night as well. As I had mentioned online, but for those of you who don't know, I am a research scientist, a working mom, and I'm in my 2nd term as a school board trustee in the Poway Unified School District. I was elected originally in 2016, and the public asked me to run for that seat because our school district was facing serious fiscal mismanagement and even criminal embezzlement. Got in there, we cleaned things up, and we got the school district back on track. And then COVID hit, and I was overwhelmingly reelected during COVID. As the daughter of Indian immigrants who struggle to realize the American dream, I want to make sure that every Californian has the resources and opportunities to help them thrive. I'm campaigning to make sure that we fully fund public education, keep our communities safe, protect our environment, improve access to healthcare, and also address the housing and affordability issues in our region. Again, Darshana Patel, Dr. Darshana Patel, I'm a research scientist, and I would really appreciate your vote, www.patelforassembly.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go, Michelle, who's going to speak on behalf of Markham.
Hi, I'm Michelle Krug, and Monica is my complete focus. Hopefully through August 15th, but if it's through November, I'm there. Monica really appreciates this club for its support, especially John and Susan, honestly. She doesn't know I'm saying this, but they did an amazing fundraiser that may have been the most successful so far. So she can use health ballots were dropped today. Most people in the district should have gotten ballots today or will get them tomorrow. So please let everybody you know go ahead and let them know, because people are forgetting, they're not paying attention, they're going off on vacation. The ballots are coming in now. Today was the first day to vote. Last day is August 15th. She also can use phone banking and precinct walking. If anybody can carve out any time to help with that over the next few weeks, come see me. And again, thank you for the support.
Thank you, Michelle. Now we are going to go to Zoom, and you've got Nadia. She is ready. There we go.
Good evening, Democrats. My name is Nadia Farjoud, and I'm running for the Grossmont Healthcare District, Zone 3. I'm running because East County deserves excellent healthcare, and I have the experience, compassion, and commitment to achieve that goal. The Grossmont Healthcare District provides health and wellness programs throughout East County and supports the Sharp Grossmont Hospital in meeting community need. I look forward to working with community members to address East County's most pressing healthcare problems, from our opioid crisis to mental health care. As an attorney, I focused my practice on healthcare and have helped investigate gynecologists who have committed sexual abuse. My campaign has hit the ground running, and it's going to be an uphill battle to defeat and unseat a Republican who's been there for 15 years. In the first month and a half of my campaign, I'm proud to say that I've raised more than $40,000 and earned the endorsements of Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs, Mayor Todd Gloria, Council President Pro Tem Monica Montgomery Stepp, Supervisor Nora Vargas, among several others. And I'm incredibly excited and would love your support on my campaign. Please visit NadiaFarjoud.com for more. Again, Nadia Farjoud, and I'm running for the Grossmont Healthcare District, Zone 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. And it looks like we've got Joseph.
Hi, everyone. This is Joseph Rocha. I'm a Navy and Marine Corps veteran and attorney and candidate for Assembly District 76. First, I want to thank you for your involvement in Pride. As some of you may know, I was in the case that ruled Don't Ask, Don't Tell unconstitutional. And as far as our updates from the last meeting, I'm very excited to share here for the first time that we've been endorsed by Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer. So that's now both Democrats on the Board of Supervisors, including, of course, our chair, Nora Vargas. We also will be rolling out a handful more of legislative endorsements as I earned the Latino Caucus endorsement. And those legislative endorsements are super important because those are the relationships that you'll need to actually get legislation passed and hit the ground running in Sacramento. So we are also 4 for 4 with our labor partners. At the end of last month, we earned SEIU California, which we're very proud of. And we were the top fundraiser for the first quarter by $39,000, a total of $153,000. Incredible, of course, for a grassroots campaign. I don't have deep pockets. My supporters don't have deep pockets. So we're very proud of that. As you may know, we beat Senator Brian Jones in this district when we ran against him for the Senate. So we're fighting to keep this seat blue. I think I heard time. So if that's time, then www.rochaforassembly.com. I thank you so much and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to more candidates. So we are going to move on to elected officials or their representatives. And could you come up for so that the folks on Zoom can see you? You've got Doug Case.
Said 35 minutes. I'm Doug Case, of the Political Affairs Director for Senate President Pro Tem Tony Atkins. I want to give you an update. There's been a lot happening in the legislature in the past couple of weeks. Last week, the Senate passed ACA 5, which also had been previously passed by the Senate. That is a constitutional amendment that will remove a Proposition 8 from the California Constitution, which is the unfortunate proposition that outlawed same-sex marriage. And even though it's unconstitutional, it's still in the Constitution. It knows what the Supreme Court will do in the future. And so this removes it, and more importantly, it assertively says that same-sex marriage is a right in the state of California. Last week, the Senate Public Safety Committee, the Assembly Public Safety Committee approved SB 519, which is a senator's bill, which deals with county jails. It creates a statewide monitor, kind of like an inspector general and the board of community and state corrections, and also requires the sheriff in any county release the investigations of in-custody deaths. But she also has a bill which would remove the ban on state funded travel to states with anti-LGBTQ laws, because that is obviously proven ineffective. Now there's 26 states have done that and replaces it, and there's also been some negative unintended consequences of that ban. For example, there's a big conference coming up and called Creating Change next year that a lot of people want to go to, state officials and so forth, and they can't because of the ban. And this replaces it with a national marketing campaign aimed at red states that promotes the ideas of inclusion and diversity to try to change the hearts and minds and trying to approach it from a different fashion. So I got 3 seconds left, and so I'll stop it there. So thank you.
Thank you, Doug. We always appreciate having you join us. All right, we've got Tiffany Boyd, Dr. Tiffany Boyd Hodgson on Zoom.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Tiffany Boyd Hodgson. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the Vice President of the Vallecitos Water District. I was elected in 2020. And as you have probably been paying attention or heard, there are 2 member agencies, part of the San Diego County Water Authority, that have decided to leave San Diego County Water Authority. There are Fallbrook and Rainbow. There are a lot of underserved people paying exorbitant prices for water in those member agencies, and they decided to take their business elsewhere. They're going to be getting their water from Riverside. Now, what does that mean for the rest of us that get our water from the other member agencies? The good news, it's not really going to be anything just yet, because I think this will be battled out in the courts. But as we know, there are a lot of underserved folks in all of these other areas as well. It will probably increase our water rates a little bit. That seems to be the general consensus, but it's going to have to play out in the courts first. So I don't expect to see something in the works immediately as far as a rate increase for the rest of us that are amongst member agencies still with the San Diego County Water Authority. But I wanted to just give you an update about that. I'm sure that you've heard about it, and we all know the price of water is very, very high. That's part in owing to its scarcity, but also the business model that California has for their water sales. A little bit of a strange business model. So I just wanted to give you that update. Nice to see you all. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. Take care.
Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you. It's our Colonel Vice President. I'm forward to it. All right, do we have any more on Zoom, John? No. Michelle, did you want to do your regional director to update?
Yeah. Very delicious barley mustard soup.
So we have a food recommendation from Michelle.
Thank you. So as your regional director, if there are people that are interested in doing resolutions, let me know. They always have to be in 30 days before the next board meeting or convention. So the date this time is July 18th. Yeah, 18th, so tomorrow night. The next board meeting is happening at Visalia, August 17th through the 20th. And then the pre-endorsement that this club is involved with is going to be happening October 21st or 22nd. They haven't given me the exact date. But these are really elections to be thinking about, because they are going to determine where our party goes. So just those dates, and then the convention, the next convention will be November in Sacramento, November 16th, the weekend before Thanksgiving, 16th through the 19th. Because the March primary, there will be no conventions next year. And anyone who's looking at running for central committee needs to be thinking about it now, because it's November 13th through December 8th that you have to go to the register and vote. So just, as always, call me if you have any other questions, but I just want to get people thinking about these dates, because this special election came up so fast. Oh, one more thing, I'm carrying the Lexi petition. If anyone wants to sign that, I can give you those details. And I also have raffle tickets for the California Alliance of Retired Americans, and those are $2 a ticket and $20 for book a trip.
Fantastic. Thank you, Michelle. All right. I think we can dive into our program now. We have a wonderful speaker for tonight. We've got Lexi Adsit, the Executive Director of TransCan Work, and she's going to be joining us via Zoom tonight. We can get Lexi queued up. Hi.
Hey there.
Hang on one second, Lexi. We'll get you spotlighted.
Great.
There we go.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Great, thank you. And thanks for having me. As mentioned, I'm the Executive Director at TransCan Work. We are based in West Hollywood, up here in sunny Los Angeles. But we also serve trans, gender nonconforming, and intersex people throughout the state, helping them find jobs, prepare for the job market, preparing them for building a career, not just, trying to find a job that can make ends meet, but really hoping to change their life. And we also work with corporations and employers, excuse me, to prepare them to employ trans people and change their work landscape for the equity and safety and what's the word I'm looking for? Happiness of all their workers across the board. And I know my talk tonight is supposed to be around trans joy, and obviously that's incredibly important. And I also just want to leave some time to answer any questions, because I know there's been so much happening this year, just nationally with the trans community. And so I always want to make sure that folks feel like they can ask whatever questions they need. But in preparing for this meeting tonight, I was just reflecting, and also over the past few years, as we've seen this rise in legislative, specifically attacks and political attacks against the trans community and trans identity. I think about those three things that were promised us from the founding documents of the country. And I'm going to butcher this, and I am not a politician. I'm not always super involved in politics, but the the right to pursue happiness, or what is it? Life, liberty, and the right to pursue happiness. And obviously that needs to be extended to all people. And uh, as lovely as it is to be able to talk the talk of America and this great democratic experiment that that we're living in, it's also equally important to walk that walk. And we've really seen these past couple of years the trans community become a spotlight issue. Um, as I'm sure many of you have been following on the news. And so the time for showing that trans people can live full lives is more important than ever. And it becomes so, I'll be honest, it becomes harder for those of us who have been engaged longer because it wasn't, at least from my experience, it didn't always feel like this, right? It felt like for a long time we were under the radar. Um, some of the biggest battles were around insurance within the state of California, getting the insurance department to adopt that all health insurance policies would provide gender affirming care. And now it's kind of like we're facing this large existential battle around what is gender? What does it mean to be trans? Is there some sort of criminal perverted element to it? And of course there's not. And so yeah, showing that trans people can live full, happy, healthy lives has become more important than ever now. And just, I guess, wrapping up some of my reflections, I am incredibly blessed to have been able to, before my current job, one of my previous jobs, I used to teach stand-up comedy and trained comedians for social justice, and primarily queer and trans comedians who were marginalized, were maybe previously sex workers or previously incarcerated, folks who uh, really maybe haven't gotten as many opportunities in life. And um, we were able to create some of the very first all trans women of color comedy shows, which are, I don't know actually that there's been another one. And this happened in Oakland, probably about, oh gosh, 8 years ago now. And the way that the community rallied around us was incredibly beautiful. And it's such a reminder that our lives and our struggles have to be intersectional. They have to be um, within coalition, and coalition work is incredibly important right now. And as we've kind of seen these past couple of years, that every election, no matter the size, matters. And so I was incredibly excited to come speak with you all tonight because you're doing such important work. And I always love coming down to San Diego, and the partners that we have there who are in government are incredibly supportive. And so, yeah, thank you for having me. And I would love to just open this up for more of a discussion. I um, don't like to just lecture at people. I think not that there's anything wrong with that. Just my personal preference. And hopefully get to know some of you as well, a little bit better as well.
I have a question, Lexi. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you do at TransCan Work as an organization?
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, we are really working with transgender variant and intersex job seekers one-on-one. And that is our bread and butter, I could say. And we're currently, so we're one of the very few organizations, I can say the only organization that is trans in the country that is focused on economic empowerment. And so for us, we've been really fortunate to receive funding from the state of California, which for workforce development, which also we're incredibly lucky to live in California at this time because workforce development and the way that post-COVID, the labor landscape has shifted, is that there's a lot of money available. And so we are kind of one of the folks at the table, fortunately, to be able to say that, here are a lot of the reasons why TGI inclusion is so important to the larger economy. And there's a number of statistics around that, but a couple of the ones that always stand out to me are that businesses and national economies that are LGBT inclusive tend to be more resilient than ones that aren't. And so what that means is that like when there's some sort of issue that, a pandemic or other international affairs, like we've had issues with the supply chain, um, that those businesses and economies are able to be more creative in problem solving than ones that aren't LGBT inclusive.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank
Yeah.
you. I see a question on Zoom from Dr. Tiffany Boyd Hodgson.
Hi, I am so thrilled to hear about your organization. As I was texting my kiddo, telling him about your organization, I said, you've got to look into this resource. Because as a mom, I worry about this. My kid is young and, hasn't really had, he's going to go off to college probably year after next, but eventually he's going to be looking for a job. And this is something that I anticipate is going to be a challenge for him to try to find something that's rewarding, but also, even if he stays in California, find a place that is, completely accepting and completely open. So I've referred him to you. So I hope I hope that works out. One of the things that I've done as an elected official is I serve on a water district. And so I'm on the board and we can make decisions that can make our water district more inclusive. So what I have done is I have changed the employment application so that when people are applying, it's not just male and female, it's male, female, non-binary. And I consulted with some folks in the area about that, what the wording should be. And I think that that's something that we can do as elected officials that's small, but it's also huge. And that way it attracts a more diverse pool and the economics are undeniable of how businesses are more successful. And some people need to hear that angle because it doesn't resonate with them that they want a more diverse workforce. But when you talk to them about the money, sometimes that's the way that they understand it. And that is a way to make people understand it better and more accepting of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just something that came to mind as you were speaking is that a point that we like to share is that millennials are taking over the workforce. So the time for change is beyond now, right? Like the clock is striking midnight. We've already seen and continue to see like billions of dollars spent in lawsuits that tend to be around cultural issues, right? So microaggressions, racism, gender discrimination. There was a statistic shared a couple years ago in a report that 75% of trans people experience some form of discrimination and harassment in the workplace, which is astonishing because it should not be that high. But millennials are significantly more diverse, as we've seen, and Gen Z is even more diverse than millennials. And as we're taking over the workforce, I think we're going to see a lot of companies who don't adapt and a lot of industries that don't adapt are going to struggle to find labor. And we've already seen some of these companies that, don't have great worker experiences struggle to fill roles that were lost during the pandemic. And, I think it's a really beautiful kind of worker labor renaissance that we're in right now. And it's vitally important to us that DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion continues to be a really core part of that. Because like your son and any other young person going out there who that's the promise of you go to college, you get a job, you hopefully can buy a house. Like it's it's it it's what we all deserve, and it's really
We have
what
another question here in the
oh
room.
yeah.
Hi Lexi, my name is Yvonne Elkin, and I would like to know what we as members of the Democratic Women's Club or as individual women can do to help move your work forward.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think one of the biggest things is civic engagement just for our communities across the board. We as well as I guess what I would say is like a ethics aligned, community aligned drive in supporting candidates that you think are worthy. It's, you know, I never thought that I would say that, and I'm 32, so this is naive on my part, but like, I never thought that I would say a school board election in Kansas was going to have the impact on my community that it would uh these past few years, right? And I think that we have to continue to take all elections seriously. We need to find ways to get the younger vote out there. We need to continue to just hold our values as our guiding principles, because we've seen that not all politically involved people do that, or even govern from a place of what do I want to call it? Love and support for the people that they're representing. Um, and I obviously more intimately, we welcome you to go to our website. It's www.transcanwork.org. You can learn more about our work there. If you're a part of a company or a department and want to become or undergo our training to become TGI inclusive, we are always doing trainings throughout the year. And yeah, additionally, doing things like changing your employment form or uh, other small things to make sure that you have gender inclusive language can go so far to letting somebody know that your organization or your business is trans inclusive.
Thank you. Lexi, did I understand you correctly when you were talking earlier? Did you say that it's more difficult for you now that the trans community has more visibility than?
I guess I would say that the struggles are different, right? So for a long time, and for context, So I'm 32. I in my undergrad and I went to SF State. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. So a lot of my I came out very young too. And so a lot of my upbringing was tied to the LGBT community at large. Like I was involved in the fight against Prop 8. I was organizing in high school, like around a lot of LGBT issues broadly. And then in college, I really dug into like transgender organizing that was happening on the ground. And since the 2012 like tipping point, we've seen a drastic increase in visibility, and we've seen a lot of organizing happening across the board in places like the Midwest and South, and organizations that are popping up there that are doing a lot of life-saving work. Uh, but I would say previously, before I I guess like 2018, a lot of the stuff that I was organizing around and that I was hearing was around the violence faced by trans women of color, trans people of color, primarily like on the streets, right? Like looking at Gwen Arajo's experience. There was a woman in Oakland, Brandy Martell, who was shot and killed just for sitting in her car. A lot of just, I think, senseless violence. And that's that was never really resolved. And we continue to see that. But what's taken over the headlines, I think, is this political attack, because it's, at least in my mind, it's equally violent, but it's attacking our community in a way where their goal is to eliminate the option for trans people to exist. And so we're hearing that there's, it's weird to call it like a refugee crisis, but this crisis of young adults, children, families leaving some of these states because they don't believe that their child, or that they won't be able to live uh, their lives, with access to quality health care, safety, even just going to school. We saw in Texas this they were talking about incriminating parents who were just supportive of their trans children. And so we haven't seen that before. We haven't seen the support system around a trans person before be attacked in this way, right? Before it was like, oh, the acts of trans people are being criminalized, sodomy was criminalized, homosexuality was criminalized, uh and yeah, so it's different, but the violence is very, I think they're intimately connected with each other.
I appreciate you talking about that. Thank you. I'm gonna give one last call for questions. All right, we've got a question from Doug.
Are there any particular industries or fields where anti-trans discrimination is most prevalent? And if so, what is your approach to that?
Yeah, one of the there's probably a couple. We haven't looked thoroughly into investigating all fields of industry, but one of the ones being a workforce development organization that we often hear about is construction, and that it continues to tend to be like a very masculine space, a very macho space, which isn't surprising. I think there's still for a lot of us that preconceived notion that like, oh, construction requires muscles. It's for large men who uh are gonna be able to handle a jackhammer and destroy concrete, and you know, they have a 5 o'clock shadow and whatever, however else we want to imagine that. But I was in a call the other day with I'm part of a coalition of equity advisors around disability, and I'm forgetting what exactly the organization does, but one of the fellow advisors on the call works in construction, and brought up that they have an issue around figuring out how to um, include trans people, or even create like a gender affirming environment, because there's concern from workers, and there's also concern from like employers. And I think our approach to kind of solving that problem is to remind them that um a it's inevitable or already happened that you've most likely had somebody um work with your team or work in your company that is trans, um and also that this is a right of anybody who's choosing to work there, that they should have access to a safe, equitable, and affirming workplace. And that's not that shouldn't be something that feels extraneous. And additionally, there's also the case that, you know, maybe somebody has a child or a niece or nephew or an aunt or you know, extended family who is also trans. And if somebody at work says something and you decide to say something in defense of that person that you love, um you know, there have been instances where that becomes a hostile workplace for somebody who isn't even trans. Um, and so it's these forms of discrimination have a far-reaching impact, and the solution is so easy that for any field, any company, we really believe that it's possible to have a inclusive work environment where uh, you can prevent a lawsuit, you can prevent a hostile workplace, you can prevent um, culture issues becoming an issue, right? Um,
Thank you for
yeah.
that. Do we have any more questions in the room? All right, Lexi, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate your time, and
Yeah, thank you so much again. And it's great to meet you all. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your evening.
you too. Thank you so much. Good night. Wow, that was great. Okay, next up, we have Maky Peters, and she is the regional political organizer for United Healthcare Workers West. And she's going to talk about healthcare and Senate bill.
Awesome. Yeah, hopefully y'all can hear me okay. My name's Maky Peters. Thanks so much for having me. I am the regional political organizer, as mentioned earlier. I'm actually based in LA, and so Hi, Lexi. If I don't know if Lexi's still around, but looks like we're neighbors. But thank you all so much for allowing me to join today. I think your group has heard recently from my colleague, Layla, who is typically based in San Diego and talking about another bill, but wanted to come today to share a couple of things and really mainly focused one on a piece of legislation that is incredibly important to us that is moving through the legislature right now and to seek support from the club on this. And so just to tell you a bit about it, the bill number is SB 779. So this is the Primary Care Clinic Data Modernization Act. And what we're doing is we are looking at community clinic systems. So community clinics are chronically understaffed. Workers are overworked and under-resourced, and it is impacting patient outcomes. It's been over a decade since lawmakers have reviewed and updated the ways that clinics report on how Californians access the services that they provide. And what we're seeking to do is to update the current reporting requirements for primary care because we believe that's a key to strengthening a critical part of our state's healthcare safety net. So this is seeking to address the long-term challenges that clinic patients and dedicated clinic workers face. Policymakers have to be able to review clinics' investment in workers, workforce development, and other issues that directly impact access to care. And this matters because community clinic systems serve over 7.7 million Californians annually at roughly 3,000 sites, a little more than 3,000 actually across the state. And 72% of the patients that seek care here are people of color. A third of all Medi-Cal participants actually access their care through these clinic systems. 1 in 2 are Latino, and 51% of patients fall below the poverty line. So the solution to the problem that clinics are facing is SB 779. It modernizes our state's reporting requirements. We know that there are racial disparities in patient outcomes, and it's difficult to even begin to legislate solutions around these issues without having that necessary data to back it. So this bill is the first critical first step towards being able to better understand that relationship between staffing, resources, and its relationship to patient care and outcomes. So that's why we've earned the support of many great organizations. And today, wanted to take some time to meet with you all and answer any questions you might have, and hopefully earn the support of the group as well. Thanks so much.
Do you have any questions? Right. I see your question right over here.
Hi, Maky. I didn't understand. Was this a Senate bill or an Assembly bill?
It's a Senate bill, but it is currently in the Assembly, as you probably know, that moves through both houses. But yeah, so it's SB 779. It's being carried by Senator Stern, or authored by Senator Stern.
Please say that again. Who was the senator who introduced the bill?
Senator Stern, Henry Stern.
All right, and we have another question.
Hi, I'm Michelle Krug. I just want to be clear about which union you're with. Your SEIU, UHW, because I never heard the word West attached to it.
Yeah, that's the long form of the name. But yes, it is UHW.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure I'm associating it correctly.
Correct.
And it was unclear to me exactly how the bill would help the clinics. What exactly does it do?
Sure. So, I mean, I'll be frank, it's kind of an unsexy but a necessary kind of bill. This is really about data reporting and transparency in those reporting requirements and updating them, sort of bringing them into the modern day. So, as you probably know, I mean, even just in the past few years following the pandemic, like we live in a very different world than we did just a few years ago. And it's no different in the case of these community clinics. The standards for reporting on clinics hasn't been updated in over a decade. And this sort of short version of the explanation is that community clinics are sort of a different version of your your standard FQHC or federally qualified healthcare clinic. They operate under the umbrella of, a lot of these larger clinic systems, but oftentimes they don't have to meet the same sort of building standards or safety requirements. And so what's happened is there's been sort of an explosion of many of these kinds of community clinics, which are, it's great to have greater access to care for folks to be able to seek care there, but also, we are seeing that there's a certain demographic of folks that are heavily reliant on getting their care from these kinds of locations. And if we're seeing that standards are potentially diminishing or patient care is not at the standard that maybe it ought to be in some of these locations, it's really hard to be able to legislate solutions around equity and making sure that folks are getting good care in these places without having the necessary data available. And it hasn't happened, and these standards haven't been updated in over 10 years. And so just to not try to get in the weeds too much, but the state of California has a long history of data collection. It's why we have the annual utilization report. And so this is for hospitals, skilled nursing facilities, clinics, and others. But over this last decade, right, while the number of clinics has expanded and the number of folks that they care for has increased and the amount of Medi-Cal that they receive in funding has grown, we have not revisited this AUR to guarantee that this is the tool that we need it to be right now. And that data set is bringing together all of the necessary information, financial information, quality of care information, as well as labor and workforce development information to be able to properly assess and document how the clinics are doing it, serving each of these communities that they're in. And there's this dimension of it too, of who's seeking care here, who's relying on the care here, and what happens if we're not getting a clear enough picture to those already more vulnerable communities. So hopefully that makes sense.
We have more questions? Do the clinics support the bill?
The clinics do not. So that is always the case. CPCA is one of the organizations that is against this. And we've been working with them. We took a lot of amendments already working in the Senate. And the argument in any of these sort of transparency, accountability bills is always this is going to cost us something, right? They're this is going to be more boxes we have to check or forms we have to fill out, something that we're not already doing. But the truth is they are already reporting all of this data to the sort of umbrella organizations that run the smaller community clinics. It's just about updating some of these data requirements. And what we've done in some of the amendments is we've actually allowed the departments, the state departments, to essentially, in a lot of ways, have just complete discretion of their own on what they really feel is going to be super necessary, the most necessary information to update, these data requirements and to make it essentially just useful for the annual utilization report. And so, yeah, we took a lot of amendments. It's now in a place where theoretically it should be very, very fair.
I know this question is not really in your realm, but I work with an organization that is trying to educate certified nursing assistants. And they have a wonderful program that's only 22 weeks long. And it's very inexpensive. And as you know, this is a source of employment that we really need. Do you know if there's any funding available to really pursue getting more women involved in being a certified nursing assistant?
I mean, I think you bring up a great point. Actually, our organization has partnered with Kaiser, which is, where the majority of our membership works. So we are a statewide healthcare workers organization that represents over 100,000 healthcare workers, and majority of them work at Kaiser. And what we've done is we've put together a program in partnership with them to pay for the funding and ensure that we have created a pipeline to good union jobs in some of these fields, some of these roles where we have the highest need. It includes CNAs. And as maybe you probably know, folks are often, victims of price gouging, even in seeking certification and education for those roles. And for oftentimes for a job where they're ultimately going to end up making about minimum wage. And so, going into a job like that with a bunch of debt is obviously not a great situation and does nothing to help us sort of close that gap, right, between our need for healthcare workers. We were already facing a shortage before the pandemic, and the pandemic has only exacerbated that shortage and those staffing issues. And so you made a great point. On the question of like, is there more funding? I think it's always a limited pot, right? How much funding that the state has in general. And I think partnerships like this are probably a great example of like what more we should do in partnering with organizations, labor management partnerships, to try to build those, fill in some of those roles.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions in the room?
Yeah, it looks like Dr. Boyd had something.
Yes, go ahead, Tiffany.
Hi, thank you for this presentation. I was just trying to quickly skim through the bill, and I just want to make sure I understand. So this is about the reporting that these clinics need to do. It doesn't have anything to do with EHR, patient health records. It doesn't have anything to do with standardizing the way that patient data are collected using Epic or one of those other kinds of systems and reporting that, right? It's not that. It is that these clinics have to follow certain standardized laws, presumably this one, to report the data so that all of the data are being captured, collected, and sent onward, right?
Correct. I mean, I don't want to say for sure because I'm familiar with what you're talking about with like Epic and like these sort of softwares that are used for patient data. I know that in terms of what we did take some amendments on like some of the patient reporting around like the gender identity stuff and like sort of for whatever reason, like some of those issues kind of came up as like, we don't want to have to specify on those things because patients might have challenges with that and like systematizing it could be a challenge. So that was removed, but to my understanding, and I'm deep in this, but I'm not super sure on the answer of like, does this ever touch at any point the Epic and like patient sort of level, I guess in that specific way. But yeah, to my understanding, this is really more about like an aggregate of like mostly like labor and workforce data, resources, like where is funding going, what kinds of services are being, done, and like that, the connections between those points being reported to HCI. That's the majority of it and not like specific. Yeah.
It's great that Tiffany has had a chance to skim over the bill. Maky, I'm thinking that if you send me the bill, I can send it out to the club and perhaps we can pick this up at our next meeting and consider signing onto your letter.
Fantastic. That sounds great. And I think what I'll do, I'll send you that sounds great. And I'll send you a one pager too, just because that stuff can be a little jargony. And so, maybe having both will be helpful. So awesome.
Yeah,
thank you all so much. Yeah. Thank you so much for these great questions. Such a thoughtful group. I really appreciate it and enjoyed being here. So thanks so much for your consideration.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll continue to present.
Likewise.
Okay, moving on to our agenda. We're going to do an activity. We have so many new members and we talked about going around and introducing each other. But before we do that, I wondered if anybody had the curiosity to scan the QR code that is on your agenda. Nobody's done that? Doug did. We have a surprise.
What's the surprise?
It's a Democratic Women's Club mobile app. For the first time ever. So if John would be so kind as to walk you through how you load it onto your phone, you should be able to scan the QR code, go to the app, now hit the share button, the little arrow. I'm gonna let John take over.
John.
Oh. And scroll down to add to home screen. And then accept. And you should have it on your home screen. Anybody else make it? I'm gonna let John talk for a minute about it since he developed it. And he can help you if you have an Android, he can help you have an iPhone.
Yeah,
There it is. Pretty slick, huh? I'm gonna let John talk.
So yeah, are there anybody here who has an Android instead of an iPhone? Yeah, so if you go to you do the Alexa view evidence and that. Oh, okay. Top right corner, there's 3 dots. And then install that.
Whoa, look at that. Okay, I'm not. Very nice. Okay,
Yeah, it'll put an app on the phone, and then if you. Okay, sorry, anybody else on that? Yes, we will. Yeah.
You are all the pioneers, the first ones to get the app. So you spend a little time looking at the app, checking out the different articles and different pages, and then it's going to ask you if you want to allow notifications. You accept that, and then you'll get a ping with the Zoom links or whatever we've got going on.
Yeah, any other Android users or any?
How can we help our new people?
Yeah, we can send out instructions to everybody on Zoom. I can do that, so and you can follow along.
Can we take a picture of it?
Yeah. And also, so after you've installed the app, if you then click around and use it a little bit, if you do like 10 things or something, it'll ask you, do you want to allow notifications? And if you want to, then Kathy can plague you for the rest of your natural lives.
I wouldn't dream of plaguing you.
Just plaguing me.
All right, so that's a fun thing that we've got going on, our new app, and you all are the first ones to see it. And hope you all put it on your home screen, and it will send you the Zoom link or the meeting reminder, whatever we may have going on. And it's a very handy way of checking out what's on the website. When I update the website, it'll go directly to the app.
We give a big round of applause to John, who took all his time.
Absolutely. Thank you, John, as always. Yes. It puts the website in a mobile app.
So. We have to do whatever.
No, when I update the website. He's asking how do we keep it up? When I update the website, it goes on to that. Yes. So I put the Pride post on there and boom, it's on the. Yeah. All right, so we're going to take a few minutes getting to know one another. My name is Kathy Hyatt. My pronouns are she, her. And I have been a member of the club since right after the 2016 election, like a lot of people. And soon after I joined the club, I became secretary. I was the secretary for 5 years until I was just recently elected president in February. The day before my birthday. Yeah, 5 years as secretary, right? In my professional life, I'm the theater and events director at the John B. Kroc Theater at the Salvation Army Kroc Center. And I've been there for 19 years. I have 4 children plus a bonus child that I picked up along the way. And they all live in San Diego except one lives in the Bay Area. I'm a native San Diegan, lived here my whole life. Never left, never moved, never lived anywhere else. So I love San Diego. Anyway, that's me. And I'm gonna pass it to Mary.
Hi, my name is Mary Petrowski. I've been a member of this club for a few months. And I'm a native Minnesotan, lived the first 30 years of my life in Minnesota, then moved here. I've been here for 30 years. I have 2 kids, both adults. One lives in San Francisco, one lives in LA. My career was in biotech, but I am quite a bit long since retired. And I'm kind of an activist. So I'm very involved with the grassroots organizing team, the San Diego County Democratic Party's voter outreach program. I'm a regional director. And I also volunteer with Words Alive. Pardon me? Anything else?
That's great. Just whatever comes to your mind.
Which area are you the regional director?
I'm Central Core. And so that's me.
Hello, my name is Yvonne Halkin. I joined the club in, I think in 2017. I was working with Sunday Gold's campaign and going to all these club meetings around San Diego. And I actually really didn't know anything about Democratic clubs before then. And I thought, well, you know, I probably should join at least one. And so women's issues being high on my list, I decided on the Democratic Women's Club. I have been the endorsement chair for 2 cycles, which is plenty. I was the acting treasurer for a little while, and now I'm sorry,
Board member at large.
Yeah, board member at large. And I am also an activist, just like Mary, only less politically involved and more issue involved. I work with San Diegans for Justice. I work with Indivisible, and I helped start one of the groups in Indivisible. And I've been in San Diego for 20 years this year. I'm a native Pennsylvanian, but in my heart, my home of my heart is New Jersey, and I'm a Jersey girl.
In case you already know, I'm the political affairs director for Senate President Pro Tem Tony Atkins, who last week was acting governor for several days.
Is that a foreseeable future thing?
It could be. Who knows? When the governor and lieutenant governor are out of state, the next person in line to succession is the president pro tem. Prior to working for the senator, I worked at San Diego State University, where I worked for 36 years before I retired. I'm politically active, member of several Democratic clubs, and past president. In fact, I sort of 2 different times as past president, or 2 different times as president of what's now called the San Diego Democrats for Equality, and I'm also a member of the City of San Diego Commission on Business.
Thank you.
So, hi, my name is Andrea Kiewicz. I'm a member of the club since about 2018. Yeah, sorry. I've been a member of the club since about 2018 when Trump was elected. Like a lot of folks, I've been involved in a number of clubs, quality for a while. I was on the board of the SEIU San Diego counties and Commission of Foundation, which is the not-for-profit arm of AMA, focused on addressing LGBTQ healthcare disparities. Particularly interested in trans rights, and also the concept of really trying to make sure that women's rights have a perspective. It's been really, I would say, pleasant, and really, I would say this club has been one of the most inclusive and friendly clubs. That's why I'm pleased to.
Good evening, I'm Ann Hoiberg, and I just started thinking about my history. And I'm thinking back to the early 1990s, and I became president of the National Women's Political Caucus. And we were determined to get women elected to office. That was all we cared about. I mean, we really even accepted Republicans, but in the 1990s, they were nice then. And what I have to say is that during 1992, every single one of my representatives was a woman, except for the President of the United States. So I had Diane Feinstein, Barbara Boxer, Lynn Shank, Susan Golding, Christine Keogh, Susan Weber. Oh, did I sleep well? Oh my gosh, it was wonderful. And I'm really going to work hard to make sure that that happens again with the president included.
Yeah. Hi there, I'm Nancy Cassidy, and I first joined the club in 1992. And then I had to take a hiatus because I went to work. I did 20 years as general manager of the local food co-op in Ocean Beach, which now has 15,000 owners and is one of the only co-ops in the county. I ran for Congress in 1996. I ran because the Republican at the time, Brian Bilbray, was going to open a nuclear waste dump in Ward Valley next to the water that we drink. And my Democratic opponent was, what's that guy's name? No, he's a Republican. Peter Navarro. How could I forget Peter, who is now kind of great acclaim? He's facing a prison term, as we all know. I ran again in 2016 as the Green New Deal candidate against Scott Peters, our incumbent Democrat who was unwilling to support the Green New Deal. He remains opposed to this day, even though we know that climate change is the biggest threat to humanity facing us. And let's see, I'm almost a native. I got here in 1945, and I have, we have 5 children, and we spend all of our discretionary time and all of our discretionary money trying to get people to wake up to the threat that is climate change.
It's a hard act to follow. So I started out in life as a newspaper reporter for my dad's newspaper out in El Cajon, a little weekly paper. And then I went to the Los Angeles Times, and I was an editor there. And I went down to Del Mar to be an editor of Psychology Today magazine, and which started in Del Mar of all things, and is today still publishing. And then, let's see, I worked for Senator Jim Mills of San Diego for 10 years in the California Senate. And it piqued my memory when Doug said Tony Atkins became governor for a couple of days. My Senator Jim Mills of San Diego was governor a bunch of times. It was always very exciting in the office when he was governor. We would try to go in and get him to do things that the regular governor wouldn't do. It didn't work. And then I helped Nancy with the co-op in Ocean Beach. And today I'm on the board of directors of the Peace Resource Center here in San Diego. Nancy and I run the La Jolla Democratic Club. We've run it for about 14 years. I'm the president, chief treasurer. I'm considered the Haley Selassie of Democratic Club presidents. And we founded the San Diego Climate Mobilization Coalition And we are strongly working with a bunch of people around the country to get this government finally to declare a World War II mobilization to build a new energy system for this country and for the world. We are going to, this is a global thing, folks, and we're gonna have to all work together, which is the good news about global warming, is that it threatens every single person and animal and plant on this planet. And so we all finally get to come together and work on one thing and forget our differences. So that's a very exciting thing about it.
Make sure we don't lose that cat.
Oh, we'll get back. I'll go.
Hello, everyone. Darshana Patel. My parents came here in the late 1960s, so I am the daughter of immigrants. We started off in Pittsburgh and then slowly moved our way west to California. My dad was in and out of work a lot. And because of that, I lost my mom at age 14 because we didn't have health insurance. And so that kind of sparked me to go get a PhD in biochemistry, biophysics. So I was in the biotech world for quite a while. You know, just plodding along, doing what I was supposed to do. But then my dad passed away also. And he passed away because we were waiting for prior authorizations from Medicare to kick in. And he succumbed while we were waiting for those prior. So that's when my husband and I, with 2 kids and a third one on the way, decided we needed a change of life. So we moved to San Diego. I wanted to put roots down in the community that my children were going to grow up in, because I didn't have that opportunity as a kid. And so since then, 13 years we've been in San Diego. I've been on many civic boards. I've been on our local town council for several years, our local community planning board, the school PTA, school foundation. And then ultimately the community asked me to run for office, and I've been serving our public ever since. Really proud of that work. I'm also president of the San Diego County School Boards Association, California State Delegate to the California School Boards Association. Senator Pro Tem Tony Atkins has appointed me as a state commissioner on the Commission on Asian and Pacific Islander American Affairs. So I am really proud of the work we're doing there. And of course, as you heard me earlier today, now I'm running for state assembly to take that work further. That's all. And also an e-board member as an ADEM and a longtime member of the Central Committee for the Democratic.
Hi, my name is Sara Velasquez, which you know me. I've been active in Democratic politics since 2005. When I moved back to the US, I decided that, well, it was 2004, because it was to end the Iraq War. So that was what got me involved. I moved to San Diego at that time. And I've been active ever since. I'm originally from Northern California. I was a longtime member of the GO team, the founding member of the GO team in 2005, I think. And I'm now the director of clubs for the party. So I'm just honored to be here with you all today, and I am enjoying this meeting. And yeah, that's it. Oh, I live in Ocean Beach with my husband and my daughter, and now a cat, a dog, and now a cat. So that's my life.
My name is Brenda Miller. I'm the registered nurse and also doctor. My history started when I started teaching at Cal State San Marcos, and I started teaching leadership. And part of teaching leadership was teaching government. And I must say, I didn't know local, state, or government. And I knew a little bit, but not enough. And I said, well, I need to know about this. And so I jumped in and started learning about it. And I must say, I went to my first Democratic Women's Club at Rebecca's house. And I think it was a Christmas party. And I met all these ladies. And I said, I don't know anything about it. And that lady there, over there on that end, said, I'll teach you everything you need to know about it. And the first thing she said is get involved. And I've been involved ever since. And so I'm learning about all the different clubs. And I've always been active with my son, with the PTA, he's grown now, but PTA and what is it called? The grad night, the foundation, I was doing all that stuff. But now I'm still teaching, and I feel so knowledgeable because I teach my students now that nurses are nurses, but we need to think outside of the world of nursing. And so I will be here in San Diego for 26 years.
Hello, I'm new to San Diego. I moved here just about 6 weeks ago from Lauderdale-by-the-Sea, Florida, Broward County, and I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, Beechwood, Ohio. Spent half my life there, and very happy to be here. I was an activist in Florida since about 2008. And it's so different here because everything in Florida has gotten so bad. And everything, you know, the meeting here is totally different than it would be in Florida because everything in Florida was fighting, you know, just fighting the Republicans. And it's just, you know, it was very exhausting, and I'm very happy. And I just came here over President's vacation, and we needed a, go down. I mean, it's size down, and then I moved to expensive San Diego, but it's gorgeous here, and I'm really happy to be on the board.
You never said your name.
Adsit Cameron.
Hi, everyone. I'm Priscilla Roscoe. I'm just happy to be involved here. I remember as a little girl, my mother, I lived in a pretty affluent, farm-based agricultural town in Central California. And as you know, it was all the workers, of course, were brown, Latinos, majority of them, and all the farmers were Caucasian. And a lot of the leadership, were the Caucasian farmers. And so my mother was a young child. She helped. I just really loved and was inspired by my mother, who was she really helped to get the first Latino mayor elected in our small little town. And I'll never forget that. And it always inspired me to be active and be involved.
Which town?
And Corcoran, in between Fresno and Bakersfield, farming town. And so since that, I've always had a love for politics through my mother and father, and I would always try to volunteer, of course, especially during election races. But I got inspired. Kathy said, "Come on, Priscilla." So about 5 years ago, I joined the club, and I have to say, after 2016, I was really discouraged, and I felt exhausted. And there was a lot of PTSD like many of us had. And so now I'm back. I feel better. I feel like, okay, I have my bearings. And really, I'm here to learn. I haven't been that active in our Democratic community, but this is the place to learn. So thank you.
My name is Maky. Everybody. I started LGBTQIU. And I volunteer and worked with them for a long time. And then I also worked with the recovery community, specifically the women for recovery. And now I'm with the celebration of women. And we are outreaching to all women, all the recovery communities, so we can join together and recover together and get on a different path to a better way of life. I started in this meeting a while back ago, and I just started coming because I want to learn how to vote better. You know what I mean? And that's why I came, really. And then I joined not too long ago. But I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to be learning things and being educated. It's so nice to be around people that care about stuff.
I never heard your name, Monique. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Renato. And I can read this off because it's going to be really fast. I was born in Jacksonville, Florida. I helped integrate a non-Black school under court ordered immigration. I've been a Girl Scout leader, a winner of 2 community awards. I've been a docent at the History of Man, now History of Us.
I will not start over.
Let's see, I've been a docent at the Museum of Man, now Museum of Us. I was a Kumeyaay docent and also a Southwest docent. I've been a trustee on the San Diego History Center board. I've been involved in the San Diego County Democratic Party for many years. In 2012, I became an executive board member of Point Loma Dems. Later, 2013, I was Point Loma Dems president. 2014, I co-founded this club with Linda Perrine. I'm probably one of the very few, if not the only woman in the San Diego County Democratic Party to be the president of two clubs, Regional Infinity. I've been elected to the executive board of the state party. That's ADEMS. I have 2 adult children and 1 7-year-old grandson. I recently moved to Mount Helix, and I believe that when you vote, you should know who you're voting for. You should have had a conversation with that person and actually looked that person in the eye and asked them a question. And that's one of the reasons that this club was founded, to educate women about the process of politics and how they can influence the political process, and how they need to be more informed about who they vote for and why they're voting for that person. Thank you, Susan. All right, Michelle, we've met Michelle a couple of times tonight. You want to say a couple more things?
Yeah, but didn't those people not go?
No, they did. That's Monique.
Oh, okay. So I'm blind. So let me start off with that. So it makes it, I really appreciate people that do say their name and realize, you know, each time they're speaking, it makes such a difference for me to try to, I did try to place who people are, where they are. And when you move, I have to start over, but that's just life. I'm Michelle Cruz. I've been in San Diego since 1979. I cleaned your poo-poo water for 30 years. I was a wastewater operator for the city of San Diego. I've been retired 15 years, but I've always done social justice work. My first strike line was when I was 5.5. My mom was a teacher in Brooklyn, New York. That's where I grew up in the projects. And so the person that said, I think it was Yvonne, said she's a Jersey girl. You can always take the girl out of Brooklyn, but you can't take Brooklyn out of the girl. But I love being in San Diego. I mean, the weather, how can you really complain? Anyway, I am the chair for the county's Persons with Disabilities Committee. I'm involved in our San Diego and Imperial County's Labor Council, a voting delegate since 1981. I'm the regional director for Region 22 for the California Democratic Party. So I'm involved in democratic politics, labor, and definitely community. I do a lot of immigration, housing, and education advocacy, among others. And I guess what's important to me is kindness. People not, for me, that's people not losing sight of what's truly important on this earth, and trying to do what I can to heal the earth while I'm here.
Oh, thank you, Chair. You're from John.
Hey, John.
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm going to share a screenshot. Yeah, because that's what I do. So yeah, my tagline at the bottom, I'd like to call myself a technology prognosticator. And Susan can understand what that means better than most people here. They just say, I grew up in the UK, I moved to California in 1993. I studied physics at college. I blew up large amounts of explosive materials while studying. I then did electronics. These days I do software for medical device company. And I'm a board member for the Partnership for the Advancement of New Americans, which works for advocates for rights for immigrants and is based in City Heights. And as I've got the microphone in my hand, I'll just very briefly say, yeah, so the app that we shared earlier, one of the nice things you can do with it is what we call a progressive web app. So you don't have to go to Google, you don't have to go to Apple, you don't have to give them any money or fill in the silly rules. You can just do whatever you like on a web app and share it. But one nice thing we've got down here at the bottom of the app is that you can share things back to the club. So if you scroll down on that main bit in the middle, you'll see a link here for members. And if you click on the members link, you can contact us, obviously, and talk to us on the normal kind of online systems that exist. But on this one, it says, let us know. If you're out and about at an event or something, you can take a picture and send it to us. You can take a video and send it to us. Or you can even text us as well, which is a bit silly, but you can. So yeah, we'd encourage everybody to do that. Share things. If you're at events, you're hearing the speaker or something you've come across that's really good, is just share it with everybody else. And you can do that very easily from the app.
Hi, I'm Pat Wadowski. I joined the Democratic Women's Club in March of 2020, right as quarantine set in. So I never had an opportunity really to meet people and get involved personally. And I'm grateful for the opportunity this year to be membership chair and to have in-person meetings. So I'm looking forward to more and more involvement. Professionally, my background is in psychiatric nursing and psychiatric social work. I worked in the Kaiser ER for about 23 years and as a therapist at Kaiser as well. And took early retirement and went into private practice. As a psychiatric social worker, politically, I started getting involved in protest movements during the Vietnam War, and have kind of been peripherally involved in politics all along, canvassing, arguing with my friends and relatives, that sort of thing. But I'm looking to more middle of the road sort of work now. So thank you.
With that, we're gonna go to the Zoom crowd and see if John can get those folks up and they can tell us about themselves quickly.
I can start off. Hello,
Right.
everyone.
So
This is.
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Samantha Jenkins. I believe I've been a member of the club since somewhere around 2018 or so. I think it was before COVID, so 2018, 2019. I'm also in leadership within the Black and African Women Rise Democratic Party, Democratic Club, and the MLK Club. I am a veteran. I'm a first-generation American. I currently chair the Skyline Paradise Hills Community Planning Group and the city's Citizens Advisory Board for Police and Community Relations. I take community service very seriously. I take leadership and representation very seriously. And I'm also a professional certified leadership coach with a background in working in the nonprofit sector. I've been in San Diego over 20 years here and there with my ex's military career. And I think that sums it up. Is that everything I'm supposed to respond to?
That sounds good.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Samantha. Don, who you got you can spotlight next.
Hi, everyone. This is Nadia Farju. Thank you for your grace with me as I'm commuting from a family event. So sorry I won't be on video. Since I was a young, or I should probably turn this off. Since I was a young child, I've always been interested in women in leadership. I think women have the capacity to change the world. And my theory of change is that by electing women and diverse women, we're just going to have a better country and a more reflective and effective democracy. And so when I was in high school, I participated in the California Girls State program that some of you might be aware of. And through that, I remember hearing Senator Dianne Feinstein say 2% is good for milk, but not for women in the US Senate. And that has always stuck with me all these years, the importance of women being leaders in their communities. And I to study government and representation theory. My senior thesis was on women's pathways to the United States Senate. And I got to work on, while I was researching all of the women at that time, it was 44 who had been in the Senate chamber. I got to work on Elizabeth Warren's campaign, which fundamentally changed my life. Seeing someone when they've said, you know, a lot of times they say women can't raise money, they can't be effective leaders. She raised $44 million and just was such an inspiring candidate, and has fundamentally changed politics and representation, I think, in this country. And that's influenced me in my leadership. I serve on the county commission on the status of women and girls, where we're advancing progressive legislation and thinking about things like how we can have more effective parental leave. And I also serve on the San Diego Women's Foundation, an organization that gives out grants to community partners that advance goals that promote gender equity. And I serve on the board of a political action committee in California called California Women's List. It's like the California equivalent of Emily's List, where we support pro-choice Democratic women. My first job out of college was working at an organization called Political Parity, where I traveled all across the country to identify diverse candidates, those folks who've been involved in the PTA for a long time, but never thought about running for office, and trying to support and equip them with the skills that they need to run and make a difference. So thank you also to Kathy for putting this on. It's just so great to hear club members. We don't normally get to know the people who are sitting to our left and right at these meetings. So thanks for this forum and everyone for participating.
Thank you, Nadia. All right. We're going to go to Tiffany.
Hi, everyone again. It's nice to have this opportunity and to hear so much about you. I grew up in Texas. I am the daughter of a single mother. I'm the first woman to graduate from college in my family. And, you know, my political memories involve Ann Richards, Barbara Jordan, Lana Guerrero, just luminaries in Texas politics. And that was the era that I came up through and came of age in. And I wasn't really that political. But I went to graduate school in Canada, and I was a member of the Canadian Union of Public Employees 3906, and we went on strike in the Canadian winter for 5 weeks. We were out marching for 5 weeks. And that's where I learned the value of collective bargaining and solidarity. Our line was charged by a person in a vehicle, and we jumped out of the way. So that's a story for a different time, but I almost lost my life on the picket line. That combined with moving back to the States, surviving 9/11, I was working in Manhattan on 9/11, the Sandy Hook massacre, and the election of 2016 made it clear to me that I could not sit out any longer. I could, you know, continue to be a volunteer in my community, or I could do that and also get more politically involved. So I did, and I was asked to run for office when I lived in Pennsylvania. We lived about 15 miles outside of Philadelphia. I was asked to run for school board, and I did, and I won, and loved that job. At that time, I also was working as the executive director of my county party, and that was the first political job I had ever had. I have about 25 years of marketing and advertising experience. I'm a research scientist by training, so my medical education and marketing experience is promoting billion-dollar brands that people take for medication and educating doctors about how, you know, receptors bind to each other and neurotransmitters bind to receptors, et cetera. So that was my background. And then I moved into the political realm. We unexpectedly moved to California in 2018, and I had to leave that elected office and that job behind, which was really crushing. But I jumped in with both feet. The first thing I did when I moved here is I attended the San Diego Democratic Women's Club holiday party. And I didn't know a soul, but that's where I met Susan. That's where I met Michelle. That's where I met Cody Pedersen. That's where I met Wendy Wheatcroft. All these people that I would later come to understand made the politics work in San Diego. So that's my involvement with the Democratic Women's Club. I'm now on the executive board. I live in San Marcos. I am the former president of the San Marcos Democratic Club. I serve as the Political Action Committee chair, which is a committee that I founded to do work in San Marcos to help elect Democrats, because even though we are a blue city, we elect Republicans. And I would like to change that. So that's a little bit about me. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to seeing you in person one of these days. My kid has a conflict on Monday nights, so that's why I always join by Zoom, but I hope to see you soon.
We appreciate you joining us here. Thank you. We're gonna go to Lachey. You can do a personal introduction, and then you can do some candidate stuff if you'd like. Since
okay,
how about that?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Lachey Sharp Collins, and I am a candidate for California State Assembly District 79, which is currently occupied by Dr. Akilah Weber, who is now running for state Senate. And you know, just for me, the reason why I am here is because it is important that we continue to support and also uplift women throughout this particular democratic process. Is for me, it's, you know, our voice counts, and our voice also helps secure victory. We are always the one who can help close out any election because the power of us as women. And so I am the community engagement specialist for the San Diego County Office of Education. I am also an adjunct faculty member at San Diego State University, teaching in the Department of Africana Studies, but I've also taught in the Department of Women's Studies and in the College of Education, teaching cultural proficiency courses. Throughout my whole tenure as far as teaching and also mentoring, I have mentored a number of high school students, and I've been able to do that by mentoring them through different programs, such as, of course, our African Student Union, but we've also started a program called the Black Girls United as well. And I am a softball coach. And it's important for me that I give back to my community and continue to support our young women, but also our trans community as well as they moving forward throughout the overall sports, the whole dynamics of our sports teams. This year, I did have a number of people trans who wanted to join and play on a softball team, but there are some things that were there that I know we have to do better at as far as our school districts to ensure that everyone can actually, you know, participate and also support in overall school activities. I am one of the founding members of Be Wild, which is called Black Women's Institute for Leadership Development. I'm also a Planned Parenthood board member, and I've been on the board of Planned Parenthood for the last 6 years, 100% standing strong and fighting for, of course, our reproductive rights and so forth. So that is one of my biggest components that I've been doing for quite some time. Let's see here. Supporting women candidates, I'm telling you now, it is key. It is a must. It is an overall priority. And I have to say that whenever we are in office, we know how to get the job done. You know, we tend to run the household, but we can also continue to run this state. People always talk about how, yes, there was the head of the household, but us as women, we are the neck. So we help to turn the head to keep things going. So, but once again, Lachey Sharp Collins, candidate for California State Assembly District 79. And just for me, it's just important that we stay together and continue to support each other as working women, also single parents and so forth. So just important that we all come together. But thank you so much for me giving me the opportunity just to share a little bit more about you and my background and things that I have done in the community supporting young women. So thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. All right, and moving on to Angela.
Yeah, that's fine.
How about Hannah? Down to the last two, folks.
I am going to go videoless because I am currently on quarantine because I was exposed to COVID. So 2020 of me. My name is Hannah Green. I am a born and raised San Diegan. I am the secretary of the Democratic Women's Club. I am a fairly new member, and kind of like Priscilla said, after 2016, I felt like I was in a rut. And I needed an outlet to try and help in whatever way I can because the world is insane. So here I am. I've met a lot of amazing people and continue to. I had such a great time at Pride with everybody. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I look forward to continuing to work with everyone.
All right, thank you, Hannah. And Angela's not responding. All right, you got Angela.
Hi. Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Angela D. Joseph, and I'm the founder of Women of Color Roar Media. And many of you have been to our breakfast that we have every year for Black History Month. And the Democratic Women's Club has been a supporter since we started almost 6 years ago. And I'm very happy to be a part of the board. And I'm very proud of Kathy, and I really am happy with the direction that the club is going on, and the type of content that we have. And I look forward to continuing with our mission as women and as Democrats.
Oh, thank you, Angela. All right, well, that was really great, and I want to give credit to Yvonne. It was her idea that we go around and talk about ourselves, and I think it was lovely.
You should ask Angela what that is.
Angela, we wanted to know what your background is in your screen.
You wanted to know my background?
The background behind you in your Zoom.
Both.
On my Zoom. Oh, thank you so much for asking. Women of Color Roar, we are starting the Women of Color Roar Leadership Academy. Our first workshop for young girls is going to be in September 23rd. And we decided we wanted to give them more than just coming to the breakfast and meeting elected officials, but we wanted to actually have a workshop where they could learn civics and life skills. And so this is our logo for the Women of Color Roar Leadership Academy. So thank you for asking.
Wow, it is splendid. All right, thanks for asking that question too. All right, I think we can buzz through the rest of the meeting pretty quickly. Business, unfinished, any unfinished business? Any new business? All right, let's go through our officer reports. Let's do Pat, because Pat is our membership director.
Membership is continuing to grow slowly, a little more of a plateau now through the summer, but we are growing. We do have one member who needs a ride to South Bay, if anyone lives in South Bay.
Thank you, Pat.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, we do have new members tonight. We have Esty joined this week, and Cassidy has joined just before the meeting today. All right, our treasurer is not in the country, so we are going to skip the treasurer report. I'm president, I do not have a report. Hannah, do you have a report as secretary?
I do not.
Tiffany, do you have a report? No report from Tiffany. Andrea is not at her seat. And Yvonne? All right, Angela, did you have anything more to add as a report?
Oh, I just wanted to add that I'm happy that the Democratic Women's Club is reaching out and being a part of the Black and African Women's Rise Club, and that we appreciate having not just inclusion, but actually having you all as partners. And so I wanted to just tell you that we do appreciate it, and we do know that it's important that as women that we stand together.
Absolutely. Thank you. If you have not had a chance to join the Black and African Women Rise Club, the QR code to join is over on our membership table, and you are able to join tonight if you'd like to do so. And let's see, Tiffany said no. I think that's all the officers, and now we're ready for announcements. All right, Sonara.
Hi, everybody. I'm here and I'm excited to be announcing tonight our upcoming Democratic Club Summit. We are having a summit on Saturday, August 26th for all the members of all the clubs of the Democratic clubs around San Diego County. So there are 55 Democratic clubs that have memberships ranging between 20 members and 300 plus members. The Democratic Women's Club is one of our larger
more organized, influential clubs. And so I certainly hope that we can count on your leadership to be there, on the members of your club to attend. We also have a few other clubs in the room, so I'm going to go ahead and pitch it to them as well. La Jolla Democratic Club, we would love to have you there, and your membership, if you wouldn't mind. To all the club presidents in the room and on the screen, that was sending out the flyer to your members. It's going to be a packed day full of workshops and trainings on how to be bigger, better, stronger clubs. One of those workshops, it looks like, is going to be on club technology and technological platforms. So I bet you can all guess who we're going to be asking to lead that. I don't know how to make that web app, but it would sure be great to learn. We can all learn. So there's going to be all sorts of great workshops on you know, how to get your club more active in activism events, how to recruit board members, how to retain members, how to do fundraising. So, and we're going to have some very special keynote speakers. So very much looking forward to it. I know we have Black and African American Women Rise also here. So just put a plug out there to all these clubs. Please help, please get your members. We're going to have a great day, and that's it. Oh, yes, where is it? This is going to be Saturday, August 26th. It's going to be at the Math and Science building of City College, which is actually a complex. There's a wonderful quad area in front. So we'll be having brunch there, and we're going to be having lunch there outside. There's a great multi-purpose room that's huge that we're going to be using for our keynote events. And then we have 2 breakout rooms that'll be hosting the workshops throughout the day. From 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, August 26th. Clearly, I'm still working on the pitch, but I'll get there. The name of the organization that's putting it on is the San Diego County Democratic Party. I am the director of clubs for the Democratic Party, which means it is my role to support, corral, and advocate for our 55 clubs. And we're doing this in part through events like the summit. So yes, Michelle?
So just clarification. So that building is on C and 16, if I'm not mistaken. Is that a 14 or 16?
It's 16.
Downtown San Diego.
What's the name of the building? The Math and Science Complex. Math and Science.
It's on the
MS.
I promise I will get you all the information. It will be on the app.
There is plenty of street parking on the weekends at City College, and the parking structure is part of the building. So yes.
Thank you so much, Sonali.
There will also, one last thing, since I have 3 clubs I get to pitch to tonight. We are asking all clubs, it's going to be free for all club members. We're asking clubs if they can pitch in $50 to support, if you choose to do so. It's optional, but we really hope you do. It helps us pay for the event. And the clubs are welcome for that $50 to have a table where they can have their information. So as all these organizers are there, they may want to also join your club. We also have sponsorships. 2 of our clubs have already signed up to be our title sponsor and our breakfast sponsor, but there's also opportunities for other sponsorships and lunch sponsors. So we would love to have you aboard. Thank you very much.
You know we'll be there.
Hi, my name is Mary Petrowski. I am the regional coordinator for Central Core for the GO team. The GO team stands for Grassroots Organizing Team. It is the voter outreach program of the San Diego County Democratic Party. I just very quickly want to let you know that the GO team is preparing for the 2024 election. We are beginning trainings in September. So if anyone would like information, I have flyers, happy to give you one. There's a QR code. The flyers are also at the front desk. There's a QR code to sign up. You will be contacted in August when signups for the orientation begin. The orientation is a 1-hour Zoom meeting. They will be various days of the week and times of day, September, October, and November. We're asking for people to volunteer whatever time you can, even if it's 1 hour during that 30 days before the primary election. So we're talking about the month of February. If you can even volunteer 1 hour, you will receive training. You will not just be given a list of addresses and door hangers and told to go do it. You will be thoroughly trained on how to have conversations with voters so that you will be successful. Again, my name is Mary Petrowski. I have flyers. Thanks so much.
All right, let's go back to. Couple more announcements.
I just want to remind everyone that if you live in Nathan Fletcher's district, which is county district supervisor district 4, there's a special election. You got your ballots already, and the last day to put those ballots in is August the 15th. This club has endorsed Monica Montgomery Stepp, and there is the San Diego County Democratic Party has endorsed her. The Union Tribune has endorsed her. There is an excellent email that if you subscribe to Doug Porter, he has sent out an excellent, he's on Substack, Doug Porter. He has an excellent list of why you should vote for Monica Montgomery Stepp. So tell your friends, it's not just you. You know, if you know anybody that lives in that district, she is the best candidate and she's endorsed by this club.
Right, and because it's a special election, there's a lot lower voter turnout, so every vote counts even more. If you'd like to canvass for Monica, I will include the link to sign up to canvass in the follow-up email that I sent out following this meeting. One more, Michelle.
So just a tiny bit follow-up. Thank you so much, Susan and Kathy. There's also phone banking for Monica, and if you don't live in the district, we desperately need you as well, because you influence every one of you, even Oceanside, knows people who live in the district. So please come help by phone calling or by the precinct walking. And all of it is going to be critical. As Kathy said, very few people do vote, so your vote is worth at least 10 times the normal. The quick thing I wanted to announce is, again, Let's Go San Diego. It's a 0.5% that anybody in the county can sign this, and it will give us more money for public transportation. And then the California Alliance of Retired Americans, we talked about in this club previously, really good retiree group that does a lot of advocating, is doing their raffle. Thanks.
And John?
Yeah, on the same theme that Susan mentioned, another fundraiser for Monica Montgomery Stepp. You can never have enough money when you're trying to win these elections, trying to win them outright. So this one is on Saturday, August the 5th at 5:30 p.m. at the UDW Hall, which is on Seminole Drive. And you can read some of the co-sponsors there, some of the wonderful people who we know in the club, like Rebecca Fielding Miller, SEIU, Myra, Jordan, somebody, and Adsit, and from the Elizabeth community.
What time?
5:30.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, if there is nothing else, I will call the meeting adjourned. We finished our agenda, and that's it, folks. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next month.
Good night.